Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Claudia Czerwińska. 10 to 12 days, that's the new deadline U.S. President Donald Trump has given Moscow to show progress toward ending the war in Ukraine. Trump made the announcement during a meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Scotland, expressing disappointment in Russian President Vladimir Putin and frustration over the lack of progress toward a ceasefire.
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
At least 4 civilians have been killed and over 40 wounded, including children, in a wave of Russian attacks across Ukraine. The strikes included a massive overnight assault involving more than 300 drones and missiles.
Ukrainian air defenses say they intercepted most of the drones. Some, however, reached their targets. In Kyiv, a Russian drone hit an apartment building, injuring 8 people, including a 3-year-old child. Northern Sumy region saw the deadliest incident, where a Russian drone struck a bus carrying evacuees just 8 kilometers from the Russian border. 3 people were killed and 19 injured. The full extent of the damage, particularly to military infrastructure, remains unclear, as Ukrainian authorities do not disclose details regarding strategic targets.
A cyber attack claimed by the hacking group Silent Crow has disrupted the operations of Russia's largest airline, Aeroflot. In an online statement, the group said it targeted the carrier's information infrastructure, with Belarusian hackers allegedly participating in the operation.
The attack on Monday morning caused a major IT system failure at Aeroflot, leading to widespread flight delays and cancellations. Aeroflot did not disclose the cause of the outage, but said the specialists were working to restore normal operations and minimize disruptions. At Moscow's Sheremetyevo Airport, where Aeroflot is headquartered, 42 flights were canceled following the alert. Passengers were asked to leave the airport and were promised refunds within 10 days. According to the Russian Association of Tour Operators, the ongoing crisis has affected at least 200,000 passengers, roughly 1 in 10 air travelers in the country.
Break the Fake is TVP World's daily show that takes propaganda and false narratives and puts them where they belong. Here's host Benjamin Lee telling us what he will be debunking this evening.
Today on Break the Fake, after years of biting sanctions and a crumbling economy, the Russian energy giant Gazprom is now worth less than the Chinese company that makes the Labubu dolls. Now, I personally don't get the appeal of those dolls, but watching Russian media go into a collective meltdown is kind of hilarious. So joining us on the fun at 7:15 p.m. and we'll see you on Break the Fake, only on TVP World.
In Scotland on Sunday, U.S. President Donald Trump and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced what they're calling the biggest deal ever made, agreeing to a trade pact that sets tariffs at 50% on exports from the European Union to the United States.
Despite the clouds and winds over Scotland, the world's 2 largest trade partners were able to break through with positive news, effectively ending an escalating trade war. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, called it a huge deal following her successful meeting with President Trump at his Turnberry golf course. This was only the pair's second encounter and their very first official face-to-face.
We have stabilized on a single 15% tariff rate for the vast majority of EU exports. This rate applies across most sectors, including cars, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals. This 15% is a clear ceiling, so no stacking, all inclusive.
The deal exempts important goods such as aircraft parts, natural resources, and critical raw materials from tariffs. However, President Trump also expected concessions in return, and by all accounts, he appeared satisfied with what the European Union has agreed to provide the United States.
Very important, they're going to purchase $750 billion worth of energy, so that's going to be great, and $600 billion worth of investments into the United States over and above what they have.
Despite the last-minute deal averting Trump's threatened 30% tariffs, Europe walks away bruised. The agreed 15% rate is steeper than the UK's 10% deal, prompting backlash from some politicians across the bloc. Brussels had prepared retaliatory tariffs, but ultimately backed down, leaving many to see the outcome as one-sided.
Von der Leyen-Trump agreement. It is a dark day when alliance of free peoples united to assert their values and defend their interests resolves to submit.
For now, we say that we've obtained worse conditions than the United Kingdom, which is not positive. Some right-wing governments, such as ours, have pushed for a more submissive attitude in European negotiations for ideological reasons and minor political expediency, damaging common interests and those of Italy.
Thank you very much.
The US-EU trade deal has brought short-term relief but stirred deep concern across Europe. Critics warn the agreement is heavily skewed in Washington's favor, with steep tariffs hitting key EU industries. As negotiations continue over steel and defense, some in Europe fear this win for Trump may come at a lasting economic and political cost.
Poland has been grappling with heavy rainfall. Many rivers have already swollen up. This comes less than a year after disastrous floods wrecked parts of Poland's southwest.
Authorities are in full preparation mode, with additional firefighters and territorial defense forces being deployed to counties at risk.
This is the first time we've been flooded, and I've lived here for 40 years.
The Genoa low approaching Poland is a rare cyclone originating in the Gulf of Genoa and bringing massive storms to the north of the Carpathian Mountains. Polish authorities issued weather alerts in most parts of the country. Southern regions like Lesser Poland and Upper Silesia are bracing for floods.
Close to 2,000 firefighters from across the Lesser Poland region are continuously engaged, whether placing sandbags, pumping out water, or removing knocked-down trees. We've deployed more people, we've provided equipment, and will deal with each reported problem as it comes. We only ask people to be careful and to follow weather reports.
First flash floods hit areas around Krakow and Katowice on Sunday evening.
We fought with the water from 8 p.m. until 12, the whole time until midnight, from 8. You know, there's nothing you can do about water, because what will you do? Just hide somewhere, look out and wait, because water is so strong it can easily take you with it.
On Monday, a crisis management meeting took place at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, with Minister Kierwiński and multiple other high-level officials in attendance. The minister urged citizens to remain cautious and only share news from verified sources, as the situation remains difficult.
Severe weather has wreaked havoc in northern Romania. One person was killed as 2 rivers flooded a remote area. Almost 1,000 people have been evacuated. These are the scenes from mountainous northern Romania following the flooding. Local media report that emergency crews had difficulties accessing the affected area due to flooded roads. Rescue helicopters have been deployed to evacuate people and deliver aid to the locals. Romania is bracing for more heavy rain in the coming days, as warnings have been issued for the country's northeast. 3 people are dead and around 50 injured after a train derailed near Riedlingen in southwestern Germany late Sunday evening. While the police spokesperson said an investigation into the cause of the accident is ongoing, speculation has arisen that the recent heavy rain in the country might have played a role.
Around 100 people were on board the train when 2 carriages left the tracks between Riedlingen and Munderkingen. The train was on a 90-kilometer route between Sigmaringen and Ulm. After the 2 cars derailed, some 120 search and rescue personnel arrived on the scene. According to the Ulm police spokesperson, investigators are looking into whether the latest storms and heavy rains caused bank erosion, which could have derailed the train. Earlier on Sunday evening, the region was hit by a heavy storm with as much as 30 to 40 liters of rainfall per square meter.
A man accused of deliberately starting a massive forest fire between the 2 largest residential neighborhoods in the town of Veliko Tarnovo, Bulgaria, will be tried for terrorism. The blaze, which threatened homes and a school, led to the arrest of 2 suspects, one of whom confessed to multiple arson attempts before the fire spread.
After reviewing the collected evidence together with the supervising prosecutor, we assessed that, given the circumstances, namely that this is a case of intentional arson, where the individual succeeded in starting the fire only on his 3rd attempt during the night in a highly fire-prone environment, and considering that this act endangered the lives, health, and property of the citizens of Veliko Tarnovo, we believe that his actions were carried out with the intent to instill fear and panic. For this reason, after consultations with the chief prosecutor, we are transferring the case to the Sofia City Prosecutor's Office, as the crime falls entirely within their jurisdiction. The penalty there ranges from 5 to 15 years for terrorism.
And so this would be all the latest news for now. Thank you very much for joining, but please do stay tuned because we have the bottom line with Marie Cato coming up next.